Hey everyone, welcome back to Inventing Construction. I'm Ross Griffin, and today we have a very interesting guest, Anas Ayoub. Yes, I got it. But before Anas introduces himself, let me introduce the topic and subtopics of the day. Today's topic is the rise of BIM and the specialist digital consultant. Our subtopics of the day are where did the interest in digitalization first arise for Anas, and why did he start XD House? The challenges around starting a business, owning a business, and running a business as a founder. How has Anas seen the industry develop over the last number of years since leaving university, and where does he see the industry going to 2030? But Anas, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I know it was short notice and everything, but it's super cool. You reorganized everything for us, which is fantastic. But can you introduce yourself to everybody and talk a little bit about kind of your past, your present, and what you're doing right now?
Well, my name is Anas Ayoub. You didn't butcher it, so I just had to confirm it. Right. I am an architect by trade.
Okay.
I started my career doing architecture in a conceptual architectural firm, doing residential, retail, etc. And I was always aiming to work in one of these big companies that are taking over the industry, like Atkins, SOM, HOK, etc. And I would watch out what they're looking for in terms of talent. And I was looking at the technology being at the top forefront of what they're looking for. So BIM was always there, Revit in particular, sustainability, etc. So I came out as an architect trying to find my way in the industry, because architecture is such a wide spectrum of things you can specialize in. And I thought, rather than me following what I want to do based on what I learned from academia, let me just explore it as a researcher and see what the market needs. So I started delving more into the BIM early in, I would say, 2013, taking courses here and there, exploring the space. I've got rejected from all the companies I was aiming to work for. But I found a really good job in Dubai, which is where I was born, and I found a job in a contracting firm, mainly looking after the sustainability and BIM, and then moved to stayed in the contracting business as a main contractor, looking after these areas for around 5 years, and then moved to another 5 years of building envelope specialist, working for a facade specialist, mainly on the BIM technology, etc. And there where I found that the technology that we're working with needs a lot of automation, especially with dealing with complex things like building envelopes, maintaining the weatherproofing system for the buildings. I ended up working in a landscape architectural firm, managing the BIM department as well. I learned about landscape architecture. Through my journey, I realized that there are lots of technologies that are out there, but needs to be tweaked to fit the industry. And I was very lucky to work with management that are always open-minded to invest in technology and upgrade it, but there were always a limit, a ceiling that you can't hit. And that's where I decided I need to explore what's out there out of curiosity, and I decided to open a startup called XD House, which is the firm I'm running right now, from Dubai. That was around 3 years ago. And 1.5 years ago, we came to London, and London is home right now. So I'm a Londoner since almost 16 months or 17 months.
It's an interesting journey. So coming, albeit in architecture, but the working for the contractor, working for in facade, in that envelope space, and then landscaping, which you consider is completely different to the other two. Because what we've noticed over the last decade is that it seems to be the civil works, the external works, landscaping that are kind of trailing behind when it comes to BIM and digitization. It's very much a 2D approach, was at least. I'm generalizing now, of course. Some companies are much further ahead than others, and some countries are much further ahead. But it's interesting that you were brought into that kind of space as a BIM specialist, sustainability specialist. How different was it from the landscaping from the facade or the envelope solutions provider?
I have to be honest, I was looking down at landscape and thinking that it's not that significant in terms of needs. But it's quite complicated. You have all these different sets of information you need to deal with from a 2D and 3D perspective, and workflows. You've got the topography of the site, the walkways, the infrastructure that comes in between, the lighting and the drainage, etc., and the hardscape, the softscape, the species of plantation, etc., and all needs to be documented. And there's the reporting that comes with it from a design stages perspective all the way to the construction. So I did learn a lot. It was humbling to go through it because we did fail in so many areas in the landscape in particular, thinking that we've got it all. So which is why I decided to create a software called Landscape Architecture, XT Landscape, we call it, which is something that we're planning to launch down this year for landscape architects.
Excellent. So it has a big influence in your life then, if that's the case in the landscaping, because like you, I always had the perception that it's just landscaping. What's the big deal? But because of the typography of the land, the typologies that they work with, the fact that you are working in civil and in soft and hard landscaping, and now the aspect of biodiversity is that's ballooning because of sustainability over the last 5-6 years, that it becomes super complicated actually and complex. And one of the things I noticed as a cost manager was that if we couldn't control design development within the budget, landscape was always the one that got hit the hardest. I always talk about architecture getting hit, as in the qualities of the building, but it came down always to the landscaping because that was the last one left. How can we cost save? How can we cost save now on the project? Well, you can't cost save. Most of the project has been delivered, but we're still doing landscaping. We need to do more grass, less
building envelopes as well. Get that head. Facades and roofing.
Absolutely, that's that architectural piece that gets absolutely butchered if you haven't designed to cost. And I think that that's a lot of the challenges have been really for landscape architects, and what I see it now is it's very much a profession in its own right, rather than an add-on that an architect has that they have to do. Where did the interest in digitization first come to you? Is that a university piece or after you left university?
I think it was during my studies. I was aiming to get on one of these big companies that could hire me and become more worthy of an individual in this realm of architecture. But at the end, when I came across this technology, I realized that it's very, very vague towards the specialization of industries. For example, you get all these softwares that can deliver 2D and 3D, but nothing really speaks to the core of the specialization of a fit-out project or a facade project scope or landscape scope. And that's why I thought there are big needs to automate the specialization for these roles. And right now there's a big gap between architectural firms who wants to deliver these projects and they have the BIM to be on one of the requirements of the project, but then they end up talking to companies like us to come in the picture and give them some sort of support there, and then they would see the pricing that they were not including in their bidding. So if they're lucky enough to leave some room there, then maybe they can hire us. But if they go ahead without it, then they struggle with the deliverables. So I think the market is now getting a little bit more matured by time, but we still get surprised by these scenarios every other month. Well, until now. It's
the question on lowest price versus greatest value for clients, and from a quantity surveying perspective, unfortunately, it's our discipline that are advising clients on lowest price bidding, and that fundamentally needs to change because it should always be about value. Are we getting the right team in place to deliver that project? Is it the right capability in the team? Have they the right experience? As we say to our clients, price will be whatever it'll be, because if you don't get the right people, the lowest price is never going to be that anyway. So you're better off getting the right team and managing that right team and managing that price rather than just buying a team for the lowest price. So that if you do have the right consultants, there's obviously a fee, like you said, that specialization around landscaping, the specialization around facade. So in that sense, I guess it's been your journey through education and over the last number of years that digitization is at the forefront. So that kind of leads us into, well, why set up XD House? What was the purpose behind that? Other than the fact that you're looking at the industry going, something needs to change, or maybe there's a gap there that I can facilitate or fill.
Well, I think you have to be some sort of
madman.
Yeah. You're feeding me there with a vocabulary. I can't find the right word. But yeah, I mean, if you knew about all the challenges to run a business, you'd be naive to go ahead and do that. So it's been 3 years now down the line. I don't know if I go back in time. I don't know what the answer would be if I would do it again or not. But we're here. We're living the moment. I would say I did learn a lot about the technology needs because I started to see the technology needs from different clients' perspective. At XT House, we do have the luxury to work with full chain of construction. Some of our clients are developers, so we talk to them about their needs. Some of them are contractors and builders. Some of them are manufacturers, and others are consultants. And they're all delivering the same product, right? And you can see the gaps here and there, and sometimes it depends from continent to other, or country to another. There's the culture aspect to it as well in delivering these projects. So it's been a learning journey for me to understand all this culture and needs in between, and try to fill the gaps with the technology and innovation that we provide, because we do not provide a service that is just up there on the shelf. We're a mixture of engineers, architects, programmers, and researchers, and we mix all that recipe together, and that's our final product. So every project is different for us. Yeah, it's been fun.
And so tell me, just so I can understand a little bit more about XT House. So you're saying that you have quite a diverse group of people delivering a service to certain parts of the industry. So I think of digital specialist consultancies coming in and saying, okay, what we can do is we can manage your common data environment. We can use BIM 360. We can do this. But you guys seem to be different then. You're coming in looking at the process chain and saying there's a challenge here you're going to have, and we'll facilitate that challenge for you. Can you explain a little bit further about that? So
absolutely. So we're currently
some examples you have maybe.
Service-based. Yeah, we're currently service-based. And the service we provide could be for an organizational digitalization to improve the process, etc. And others are project-based. Usually we work on the project-based projects because that's where the biggest demand is. Some organizations might delay their digitalization, saying that we can deal with that later and just deliver that project, that outsource or consultant, which will be us. So examples would be a developer might have a lot of assets. Some of them are already operating, some of them are under construction, some of them are in the design stage. And they want to unify that asset management tool, whether it's GIS or BIM or both. And they want to unify it so they can show it to their decision makers, the high management, and then show reports of what's done, what's left, how much we're spending here, how much we need to spend to bring what value. And it's a very hard thing to sell, because most of it is selling the solutions to the problems that you don't know that you will have. To go through that process, you need to, I think you need to mainly build a trust, on a personal note, trust, to make the communication genuine with people, hear them out, show them that you're doing the right thing through a transparent communication of what the process you're following. And then they will understand that you are actually delivering a value. They need to trust that you are doing a lot of solutions that they might not understand, but at the same time you need to keep it layman terms, because they're paying you to cover it by yourself, not from a technical perspective. Just give me the final product. So it depends to the client. Some clients like to go deeper into details.
And follow the journey, and other clients would just like the end result. Please, I know you're solving a solution. And that's throughout the entire project life cycle then. So like in early stages of the design process, do you guys also advise on clients on that digital transformation piece, where it is about what systems you're using, what processes should be in place, what your common data environment, your digital twin should look like, etc.?
Absolutely. A lot of them have already invested in some areas of what you mentioned, like the CD, for instance. But the EIR might not be, which is the employer information requirements, to mainly focus on controlling things like naming convention, etc. It's mainly to structure the data to be able to access it whenever you need it, and have the reporting that will allow you to make decisions down the line. So let's put that into more layman terms. You have a piece of land that you want to build a building on it. You need to understand numbers like areas, use, quantities, price, and study it through time. And when can you deliver it? And all the decision makers need to have different types of reporting through different stages. So how do you deliver that? By allowing maybe some BIM protocols and procedures, maybe add up more link to your GIS system to make it connected with the bigger picture of your data assets for other buildings. Or maybe make it more specific to this project again and have more visualization tools because it's a complex project. So you add on the 4D visualization to see the videos of planned versus actual and track the root cause behind delays, earn value analysis to manage the cost as well, and add the 5D to it, have the dashboards that can make it automated with your daily progress, because a lot of consultants are working on these projects. And most of our projects are currently in the Middle East, to be honest. They're giga projects. So you have a series or chain of hotels or residential units, and they're all connected to be reported through the same channel. So you need to find the data attributes that can connect and a dashboard that can allow the decision maker to say, yes, let's spend more.
No, it's super interesting to be able to, and I think especially for clients and investors, because traditionally projects are a linear process. They're unconnected, disconnected. So that overall portfolio view on their projects, for me, I think as an investor, developer, owner, how could you manage a business if you didn't have it? You're getting it in paper format more than likely on a monthly basis, feeding up through the chain of command as it comes towards you. But that real-time accessibility to that analytical information is super interesting and powerful for clients and developers in that decision making. Should I spend more, as you said, or should I spend less, or what's our next step here? But you triggered something a minute ago, talking about when you started up or set it up XD House 3 years ago. Would I do it again? Would I do it again with all the knowledge I have now? I find that interesting as well, for just from ourselves in Cosmos, and I think we turned 6 there in the 1st of February. So by the time this comes out, we'll be well into the summertime. But reflecting back, a lot of people look at setting up a business as something that's really, really cool, and you're trying something different, and it seems to be something that's praised. But what people don't talk about is the difficulties around setting up a business, managing a business, keeping a business operational, keeping the people and the staff, satisfied and happy and busy. And it's kind of multifaceted, multifunctional.
100%.
And you come from a background in quantity surveying or an architect, here I do numbers and quantities, that's my basis. And then you step into this new role of, well, you're actually the accountant, you're the HR person, you're the admin person, you're all of the above, as well as sales and marketing and all of it. And I find that part of the setting up business super interesting, because you're learning something new, and but it does comes with its difficulties as well that people don't talk about. The late night working, the lot of traveling that needs to go on top. Whether it's Europe or the Middle East for you, or going to Scandinavia and the UK for myself. It's interesting. But I'd like to hear a little bit more about your experiences, I guess, and the advice we can give people as they're listening in if they're considering setting up a specialist digital consultancy.
Right. I did see a lot of friends that I know that have decided to take that route. So I don't think the market is saturated. I think we need more people to come and be brave to open these consultancies to help bring in more awareness about how can we make this a better ecosystem for the built environment. But going back to on the personal side of it, yes, it is very challenging to deal with all the above that you just mentioned there. And also, I think you have to have, let me just summarize it into, you are the founder and the guy who is passionate, or the person who is passionate about the subject that you decided to take as a journey. And there is the businessman side of you that needs to be cautious about numbers and take decisions, manage risks, etc. I think you need to keep both of these people,
the Jekyll and Hyde,
talking to each other all the time. And I had a lot of time talking to the founder side of me more than the businessman for a long time, and that was the side that I've done more mistakes on. Because you're just passionate, you want to spend more on marketing and spreading awareness, etc. But at the same time, maybe hire more and assure quality, because I come from a corporate background as well. So I do have that corporate disease in me that I want to make everything perfect, perfectionism. So you need to challenge yourself all the time to think about it from different mindsets and listen to the people who are telling you, don't do it this way, do it the other way. But at the same time, I can't say you have to stick to listening to people, because sometimes you just have to be stubborn and do it
Go
your
with
way.
your gut, if you like. Yeah.
Yeah. If it feels right, I think you have to do it. But it depends how you deal with your internal conversations that you speak with yourself internally. If you speak to yourself in a genuine way where you are factual and research and scientific approached, then probably yes, listen to yourself more.
I think that gut reaction is interesting. You have to be able to satisfy yourself that you can deal with the positive result and or the negative result that gut reaction might entail. So what do I mean by that? I mean, what if that gut reaction results in you bringing in 4 new clients? Whoa, that was a positive result for that gut reaction. What if that gut reaction resulted you in losing 3 clients? Shit, that was a negative reaction out of that. But you have to play that risk pool with yourself and have that risk conversation about, would I be satisfied, and can we take the negative as well as the positive? What would the negative have in terms of impact on the business? What would the positive have in terms of the impact on the business? If you can satisfy yourself with both, if you can take on both, then gut reaction, go for it. You know, it's almost qualified risk. It's not jumping off the building with your eyes closed.
100%.
You've already assessed everything. And I find that the most interesting part of business ownership.
And I can say on that topic that whatever you decide is never going to be right 100%.
No, absolutely.
So there'll always be the risk associated with it.
Yeah.
I think the best thing is to do, the best thing to do is to go and say, you know what, I'm going to make a decision, make it quick, but informed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, understand that whatever comes with it as a package, you expect that it might come with a lot of challenges, and just deal with it. Yeah. The hesitation can make more problems than making the worst decision maybe on between 2 decisions you're trying to pick between.
You mentioned the corporate experience and that idea around perfectionism and needing to be perfect before you move or do anything. Can we discuss that a little bit? Because we always have the same challenge, and I think what is the saying? Perfectionism is the killer of development or progression or progress. Yeah. I think that's what the saying is. You guys will tell me anyway in line on the comments, hopefully. But if we allow ourselves to always to be 100% perfect, obviously we never do anything, would we?
True.
You know? Yeah.
100%.
So how do you deal with that conflict, I guess, from that corporate experience into what you are now as in the owner of XD House?
Right. First of all, I don't claim that I have a solution for it. I can share some of the experience.
No, there is no solution, I don't think.
No, I do have that disease.
Individual
I suffer from it daily, so I don't think I figured it out yet. But yeah, it comes with the package. Just expect it to come within. I think you need to be confident about what you provide, and to be confident, you need to have the tools to provide the solutions you're claiming that you can provide. That means maybe that's going to limit you from taking more risks. Now, how can you take it to the next level? Being confident to deliver what you know that you can deliver, with the other things that is new to you, but you aim to deliver in terms of innovation, trying something for the first time to provide extra value, and then go for it. But at the same time, understand that whenever the results come with problems, you're ready to deal with these problems. Yeah. And if you just wait and think that you just want to think about all the roots of problems that can happen before you start, you will be creative enough to find so many routes of possibilities. Yeah. But what that will do is, if you spend so much time on it, it will just make you spend a very long time before you start, which will make you slower than others. So you need to be calculating risks, but to the level that will make you sustain some hits, but not all the hits is calculated. So that's at least what I try to do, but I'm not always succeeding again.
There's a certain aspect of saying yes to a requirement you know you can deliver 100%, and then saying yes to a requirement you think you can deliver 60%, but you'll figure out the other 40%. Yeah. The idea is, I guess, is perfectionism. One thing is having a perfect report or making sure the brand awareness is to a certain quality level. Another thing is about actually getting things done. And often in our industry, we don't have enough people just doing stuff and getting things done. We have a lot of people talking about stuff and talking around things, but not actually doing anything. Yeah. Now, you can argue that there's a part of perfectionism that's holding us back there, But in reality, I do agree with you. It's a case of looking at what it is you definitely think and know you can deliver, and then understanding what it is you think you might be able to deliver, but assessing the risk around that, and then just go and doing it.
I think you were talking more. I was talking more about strategy, but you brought me down to task level.
Yeah.
But I think you're operational level.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Spending more time on things that are, let's say, related to a presentation or a report you want to perfect, which is just something I spend much time on, I'm not going to lie, is somehow some sort of a procrastination form of a behavior. And the reason why I'm saying this, because everything is important in the business. You need to be working in the marketing, the sales, and the operation, and you need to be obsessed with quality and communication with your clients. But if you compromise a lot on the quality and the presentation, then you're going to look. You may come across as a cheap solution and maybe give a bad impression. And a lot of what we do is really about leaving a good impression in communication. So to set up the table to have a successful exchange with people, because everything we do is an exchange of information and communication with people. So I would say that procrastination might mean that you're not assigning your priorities, and maybe you assigned your priorities in the right order this week, but in a week or a month or so, you will have to set again and reorganize your priorities, and that might mean leave the presentation. It's already good as a format. Focus more on the content, etc.
Indeed, yeah, it does differ, but you're right when you list it out like that. There's so many facets to the business, really, and I think responsibility for you as the owner when it comes to that. What does good communication actually mean? How do we communicate with our clients? What does good presentation, what's good branding look like? Well, what does good documentation? What are our standards? What are our processes? What is our team structure? All of this, if you wanted to be 100% in your own mind, perfect at everything before it's released, nothing would ever get done. You would have nothing. You wouldn't even get the business off the ground because you wouldn't have started it. In reality, you just
it's not linear. You could start, yes, but maybe you will be very late on many things.
Yeah.
And then provide excuses, and a lot of your energy would be on trying to fix that problem that you've created.
Very quickly run out of money and patience.
That's
I would say is what would happen. Yeah. That leads us into, how have you seen the industry develop over the last number of years, coming from, your architectural education through contractor, specialist facade solutions, landscape, and now what you're doing with XD House?
Well, the industry have been focused more into the BIM documentation and information, generation of information. And that I call it usually, I heard this term on one of the podcasts, I think was mentioned, Joe Rogan podcast. One of the guests said we're more of a data gatherers right now compared to being a hunter-gatherer back in the days. So we have a lot of data. Everybody is hungry to issue a lot of data and put it out there to say that we're data-driven, etc. But what the market right now is saying, or the new ecosystem is saying, that we need to be focused on a qualitative approach on the data. See, how can we group them? How can we make them to the best use? We're having this big library, but who will go and read all of the books?
It's not alphabetical order, for example, and it's not really structured. And then,
Right. And I think the market is pushing us right now to have that innovation piece with the development of AI coming up. Month by month, you see new things coming up to maybe help us structure the data, but that's another topic for another day. Maybe in the near future, we will be seeing advancements in the quantum computing technologies that will kind of change the way we approach processes internally. But going back to the point, I think I did dive deeper from the point you were making there. You were talking about
how the industry has developed over the last number of years, how it's progressed in your opinion.
Right. I think we're heading towards decentralization of tools right now. Back in the days, it used to be few authoring tools providers, and it's been done this way, and you just spend extra money on extra resources to deliver it. Right now, we're seeing a lot of tools coming up in the contact industry, a lot of startups in the contact industry focused on specific tools to optimize certain workflows. That is the biggest change I've been noticing recently.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation about this recently, about that interoperability of the industry. And up until a couple of years back, it was really these big players and providing tools for the industry, and they didn't really speak to each other because they're competitors.
Right.
When in reality, the smaller companies, the startups, have the idea of kind of open source, sharing API, make sure that we're able to connect, make sure we're able to share information. If we can't share information, how are we expected to exist in the industry?
I didn't think about it this way, but now that you said it, it sounds revolutionary.
Yeah.
But people are taking the power from.
But that's what needs to happen, right? These single ecosystems, in reality, shouldn't work. They shouldn't exist, because we should be able to speak different languages within the industry, if you know what I mean,
True.
in order to be able to share because we are different professionals, we are different skill sets, we are there for different reasons, but yet we are the users of information. So I take your information and I'm the producer of information and data, which you should also be digesting and using to facilitate your next stage of development in that project. And right now, without the interoperability and the kind of open source approach, then how can we do that? It becomes very challenging. Right. I think the startups will see more smaller, real specialist providers on construction projects throughout the project lifecycle, providing specialist tools to be able to facilitate us to work more efficiently, rather than the one shoe fits all, the one hat fits all approach that we're seeing. I guess that's what you guys are doing.
True, and I think it's a reaction to the current ecosystem, as you explained it. So the whole industry right now, for the past years, are spending so much time and resources on trying to have the best use of these ecosystems called BIM, digitalization, whatever it is. But the big players, the providers of these tools, have kept it very vague in its core. And you need to have an infrastructure that is IT driven through the clouds, the machine, the gadgets you buy for the team to make them equipped with what they need to control the quality and produce, etc. And then there's this huge need for IT people. So the architects, engineers, and specialists in the AEC industry have had to move from doing engineering and architecture to start doing more IT and digital. And you've been seeing it in the job description of engineers graduating from school, and I feel bad for these young lads. They're coming up and saying that they need to learn about Revit, about programming, about the engineering, about the reporting, and how to log the documents in the AEC, CDE, whether it's BIM 360 or ACC, whatever we're going to call it. So it is a lot to deal with. And I think that's one of the main things we're focusing on at XD House is we need to bring back the quality of what people should be spending time on, which is the engineering and the creative work, rather than
their specialist skill set, rather than diluting it, I guess.
That's it.
You often see those posts online where you're a newly graduate, but you need 17 years experience, and you're kind of going, or the level of a 17-year experience person, you're kind of going, we've kind of lost the run of ourselves a little bit here. You need to be.
There's a lot of truth to those. Memes,
Absolutely. But I think the industry is really progressing over the last number of years, and it's for me at least, it looks like it's progressing in the right direction.
I believe so.
Digitization and BIM has. I think it's improved, I would say. People's understanding of it has improved. People now realize what kind of good looks like, what not so good is. People are cutting through all the bullshit that is happening. The same is happening for sustainability. I think that's really becoming the forefront of the topic. And of course, AI, as you mentioned earlier on, is the next big wave that will hit our industry.
But I think we need to document that, Ross. I think we're missing we're saying that we believe that it's going the right direction, but we still don't know how to prove that it's going in the right direction. And I've been having some theories around that. It is a feeling. But I've been having some theories. I don't know if I can share that with you as well.
Sure.
I believe that we do have the development in the way we do things, processes in the industry to produce a better outcome in the final product, which is the building and the built environment. But the demand is still higher year by year. They're always claiming that there is deficiency. And is it? Like, we really don't know, because the scale of projects worldwide is getting higher. Like, there are giga projects that are everywhere right now, and maybe the demand's getting higher and the production is getting, the efficiency is getting also way, way higher. But we don't have the time to sit and watch that we've been there or not, because we've been too busy just filling the demand of the market.
That's right. Yeah, or maybe we're not. Tracking it manually is never going to work. But at least if we started tracking it, recording it, we could then at least layer up what's happening next year, the year after, in any projects and mega projects, and analyze then, are we actually more efficient or less efficient?
Yeah.
As you said, are we actually moving in the right direction? Or are we just building more? Is that what's happening? And I believe the conversations are higher quality over the last number of years in the conferences we go to. I think people are really grasping onto it. The upskilling has been, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, has really kind of taken on board. There's still a lot to do, of course, because until we get a full digital workflow through entire project lifecycle, and we get our clients educated, we're never going to really get there in terms of what maybe we want from the industry personally, But I think that leads us into where we think the industry is going over the next let's say to 2030, this next 5 years.
Next 5 years.
Yeah. For XD House, what's your aspiration? Let's start there.
For us, I think we need to focus on delivering tools, which is the product side of the business.
Yeah.
So to break it down, we're currently doing services.
Yeah.
We get appointed on projects, or organizations want us to upgrade their digitalization ecosystem, and we do that by training, providing this setup of the platforms, etc. Now, next, what we're doing on the side, we've built like tools that we use internally. Yeah. For example, we have the landscape plugin.
Yeah, as you mentioned.
It's a software. We have the fit out. Yeah. Because we have fit out projects, they have different needs. Yeah. And we have the building envelope specialized software. So that focuses on having the panelization and make it ready to be issued for fabrication and installation, etc. So these are the specialized tools that we decided to take on board and deliver to the market, because we can see the gap right now. That's what we want to focus on, to make sure that we bring the value from these associated researchers that are working on the projects. Because you see these big teams delivering, let's say, a project on a construction phase, but it goes through so many back and forth communication to submit the drawings. There's missing information. It's not within the quality that we need. And we're capturing that need right now on demand. Same for the landscape. You're doing the models, you're fulfilling the coordination purpose, but the standards are not fulfilled because there are other stakeholders working on the same project and they're not doing the same as the standards. So it's affecting your work to produce the drawings you're aiming to produce because somebody is slacking from other teams. So I think to solve that gap, because there's a lot of disputes happening right now in the industry because of that part, and you cannot just upscale everybody at the same time, and you cannot wait another 50 years until everybody catches up, because there will be new technologies to catch it up with. So the solution is you need to figure out a way that you make the specialization for each and make sure that it's having less disputes, more production, and more efficient.
And maybe that's kind of where we're going in terms of that industry development. Then we become a more specialized, but also better communication. We become more connected, perhaps. But if you look at the global industry, it's quite different from country to country. Different countries that are different levels of development when it comes to digitization, or even how projects are delivered are vastly different. So how we approach the projects are also vastly different. So I find that part kind of hugely interesting, because there's big opportunities with taking the learnings that you have gained in one country and bring them to another industry, subsector of the industry, and going, actually, guys, this is what we might be able to do. So maybe that's the development over the next 5 and 6 years to 2030 for the businesses, But it's exciting in the industry, but also hugely challenging. And it's good that companies like yourselves are at least picking up the baton.
Like yourselves?
Well, trying to do a bit, I guess, just to see how it goes. But I appreciate the time today, Anas, and it was a pleasure to have you on. And I know we'll chat again soon.
We'll chat again soon. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.